Recording.
Right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chris Minacucci, and I'm going to be your mediator today. Mediation is a very good alternative to a lawsuit. This is going to be less expensive, and hopefully at the end of today, your issue will be resolved. And so first, I'm going to explain how this is going to work. I'm going to give, after I'm done with the introduction, we're going to set I'm going to give each of you guys time to talk and be heard. Then we're going to kind of set an agenda and work through those issues. If at any time, this is a completely voluntary process. So if at any time one of you need a break, or if you want to call it on the process, you're free to get up and leave. So also, if I feel it is necessary, I may break out into caucuses with you guys, which is where I will talk to each of you individually before we come back together and continue trying to reach an agreement. So at this time, I would like to allow each of you to first introduce yourselves and then give your side of the issue. So let's start with Harry.
So my name is Harry Stamper. I was an engineer for Big Drilling. I worked on their Armageddon drill. I was the key guy working on that. A ton of contribution to it. As soon as the drill was completed, I was fired. They claim they have reasons, but in my opinion, they fired me because I was talking about unionizing. I don't think they liked how much sway I had with the employees. I was like, I'm really angry about my termination. I feel like it was they violated the labor practice in doing it. And I believe the non-compete is very big. Same with the non-compete. But yeah,
Okay. Big Drilling.
Hi, I'm Ben. I represent Big Drilling, and so we hired Harry to work on our Armageddon drill project. And at first things were going well, but after after a while, Harry became kind of problematic for our company. So we fired Harry. We terminated Harry for reasons not having anything to do with unionizing, but we let Harry go because we felt like he was a disruptive force in our company, and he would show up late to work and take unauthorized extended lunch breaks multiple times. So he was also very openly challenging, our policies, and so we feel like it was more trouble than it's worth kind of situation why we let Harry go. And we feel like the non-compete agreement that we agreed to when we entered into our contract with Harry, we feel like that is standard, and we want to maintain that, or we want to keep that non-compete just to ensure that Harry doesn't let any of our trade secrets go regarding the Armageddon drill, and also to ensure that one of our engineers doesn't work for a direct competitor of ours.
Right. So it sounds like the big issue here is the non-compete. Now, is there any damages?
yeah, I believe I should be awarded damages for how I was fired. I believe it was again a violation of the NLRB. And he I just have to speak on something. He said that I showed up late to work and took long lunches, which I admit, but that was common with other employees that no one got in trouble. I was the only one that got in trouble. I just wanted that to be known. But yes, I do want damages. And I want the non-compete thrown out.
Okay,
Just on, also in continuing, what we are seeking in these negotiations too, we also want, complete confidentiality in, all of the negotiations, and obviously, as, um, as was discussed in the non-compete, and further than that, we want complete, confidentiality regarding our trade practices and regarding our, operations. And again, we feel like we have, legally made contract for that, but we also want to make sure that everything here is confidential and, nothing gets out, is publicized.
okay. So here, since the non-compete seems to be the biggest issue, let's deal with that last.
Yep.
So we're gonna, begin with confidentiality.
Yep.
Okay. Then we'll go into damages. And then finally, we'll address the non-compete agreements. All right. So as far as confidentiality, do you have any opposition to this being a confidential agreement?
Yeah, I would like to tell people about how I was wrong. I feel like it would be unfair if I wasn't allowed to speak about it.
Is there anything that Big Drilling could do to maybe make you amenable to their confidentiality requests?
Yeah, I think the damages, I mean, I need some monetary value.
Okay, and I guess what's your ballpark range of what you were looking for in damages?
I'm looking for 25, 20, 30,000, maybe.
Okay,
in that
so
ballpark.
20 to 30,000 range.
In that ballpark, yeah.
And Big Drilling, what are you feeling about on damages?
So, we're at the position that, we don't know any damages, but again, we're willing to consider, some type of severance package, provided like negotiations go well in other areas of this mediation. So for instance, we want confidentiality, and we would also like to enforce the non-compete.
All right, so it sounds like the confidentiality is going to be linked to the damages.
Yeah.
And the damages are kind of going to be linked to the non-compete.
Yeah.
So it seems like we'll have to maybe work our way
Kind of
backwards.
yeah.
For that. So on the non-compete, you said you don't feel it should be enforced at all.
I don't know if it's enforced at all. If the monetary damages are, if I believe they're adequate, I'd be willing to be completely confidential, completely signed them. But
would you agree
I need
to
some monetary value.
to the non-compete agreement?
No, because I think the non-compete agreement is vague. I think it stops me from being able to work in different fields. It keeps me. I think I just think it's too vague. I think if they'd be willing, if we could maybe modify it. If we could modify
Okay,
it.
so you're fine with it applying as long
As long as we can modify it. There's some things I would be willing to agree with, and there's some things it's absolutely not. So I would be curious if maybe there's some new wording, there's some things that we can do to fix non-compete.
Do you have any proposals on modifications you would seek?
I don't know if I want to keep working in this field. But I'd be willing to for the non-compete to not work with any of their major competitors. I'd be willing to keep that in there.
Okay.
But the wording needs to be right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So big drilling, how are you feeling about the non-compete and what modifications would you be open to?
So we like, the non-compete that we have, but we're open to, again, we're open to, working together and keeping this out of court, so we'd be willing to modify it in ways that limit, Harry's availability to work for any of our competitors, not just our top competitors. We don't wanna,
Okay.
we primarily operate in Texas, so definitely not any company, in Texas or surrounding areas or
Surrounding areas being, what, bordering states?
bordering states, maybe states in, southeast and southwest regions.
Okay,
Is that the non-compete?
this is the non-compete.
Like, this is why I say it's vague. I will not directly or indirectly either work for any other company entity involved in the business of oil drilling or work for any other business engaged in developing technology. That would be considered similar. At big drilling anywhere in the United States. I mean, I'm an engineer.
Right. So you would be willing to go down to your competitors in the southern United States?
We'd be willing to work something like that out,
Regional?
provided, provided we can, the other terms of this agreement, are agreeable. We'd be willing to do something like that.
Okay, and are you guys both okay with the 8 years?
I would like it short. If I'm being honest.
We like some, again, if Harry feels like this isn't, a type of, the type of industry he wants to work in anyways, we feel like an 8-year period wouldn't be too much to ask, just given we're already compromising a little bit with, the area we're looking at, and
Are you
we're,
Given their compromise and
Yeah.
the fewer
Yeah,
areas you're
It depends
restricted
on the
from?
wording. If we can work on the wording of the non-compete, I'd be willing to keep it at 8 years.
Okay, so maybe southern United States and against, so drilling, you're not.
So
gonna work
not
for drilling
working for
companies in the
any,
southern United
any
States.
competitors of Big Drill Oil. Right, that's the name?
Yeah.
Big Drill Oil.
In the
In the southern
States.
United States.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I don't even know if I want this thing. It's been tough. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's good with you? No competitors in the southern United States, but you can work, in drilling companies outside that.
we're willing to, again, we're willing to negotiate this, but, we prefer if we didn't work in the drilling industry or anything similar for maybe like 1 year.
But anywhere?
Okay, so, well, for a year, maybe, yeah, so 1 year you don't work in drilling, and then beyond that, for the rest of the 7 years, you don't work for competitors.
Competitors in the southern United States.
Yeah, that sounds okay. I could. I'm afraid to agree to that without knowing what damages I can get first. Would we be willing to do that with a severance package of 25,000? Is that enough? Is that okay?
I think I think that's a little higher than what we are looking to pay right now. We would do, potentially $15,000 severance. A one-time payment. Of 15,000 just at this point, and then, again, provided all of our other terms are agreeable, and then after, that it's provided we're in agreement about the non-compete and confidentiality portions of this.
Could we do 15,000 and public apology?
We're not willing to do any type of public, acknowledgement of, fault in this type of situation. We can, that's not something that we can do.
private apology,
How would a private apology work?
admitting that I was terminated wrongly. And apologizing for that.
So what, again, what would be the logistics of that? Like what are you,
Either in a note or, in a meeting or,
so we're probably not comfortable putting anything in writing, but a meeting might be something that we could arrange, provided, we agree in the other areas. of this.
okay,
So where are we at on potential, for damages or severance right now?
I'm thinking, well, 15,000,
Okay,
plus an apology. But we need to hash out the apology. And how it would be done. Yeah, because I feel disrespected. I feel like I was targeted. I don't, what's gonna stop them from doing this to another guy in the future?
okay, so, are you willing to give him the apology he's seeking?
You know, if we can agree on the terms, but we feel that we weren't disrespectful in any way of how we went about our business. We feel, you know, again, we have obviously discretion over our personnel and who we decide to let go and who we decide to take on. And we, although Harry is a very valuable employee to us, and you know, we're trying to work things out here, we don't feel like there is very much disrespect in the way that we let
Right.
the way that we ended things.
Seeing as you had wanted confidentiality too, how would you work in the apology with the confidentiality? I'd assume it would be not public, of course, kept private.
Again, yeah, we're not willing to publicly apologize for anything that went down between us, but privately might be something that, you know, we could work out just depending on, again, an agreeable.
So Harry, you understand, their $15,000 settlement is with the apology agreement is all contingent on their confidentiality terms.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be willing to. I'd be willing to do that if they're willing to pay me $50,000. I deserve, I feel like I have to have some sort of monetary, or damages. I should receive some damages for what happened. And if they're not willing to publicly apologize, then that, I think I can, deal with that. But I'm still nervous about the non-compete. Is it possible to put language in there, that says that I can work just so that it's positive, because I do believe the non-compete is vague. That would allow me to work on certain technologies that are outside of the oil drilling. 'Cause I think right now it's kind of tough beating that non-compete.
Yeah.
Really knowing if I can work on technology. I understand not working for competitors. I am fine with that. I'm not looking to do that, but I don't want to walk out of here and get a job that might or could be connected to drilling.
So you're saying that for
Yeah.
that first year, you don't want to be as restricted as you currently are?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're, for the subsequent 7 years,
I like working
willing
on
to-
technology.
you're
Yeah.
willing to not be working for their competitors?
Yes, yes.
the
For,
subsequent
I
7
will,
years?
yeah, I'm
But
fine
for
with that,
for that initial year, you don't want to be restricted.
to where
you
I can
wanna
get
be able
jobs.
to get
Yes, I want to
jobs
be able
that you
to
can
have
stick with.
some ability to, not feel like I have this non-compete over my head.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And do you have language in mind for what you would be seeking?
Maybe like the freedom to. Not sure. Not sure off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think we, you know, what we want, and again, we're not trying to restrict you from being able to get
Yeah.
a job. We're trying to work together, but we want to ensure that whatever technology that you work on isn't going to be, like part of a new drill that is our competitors use to speed up the process of oil drilling and thus making it harder for us to make profits. So mainly what we want from this non-compete agreement is we don't want you working anywhere near in the same industries. Again, as an engineer, we don't want you working anywhere in Texas or the surrounding areas or offshore in the Gulf of Mexico. So we don't want you working in the related fields for a year, just like as an engineer in working with products that will be used in oil drilling. So yeah, I think that's the good way to put it, is working with products that have the potential to be used for oil
I
drilling.
agree with that. The language I would like removed is the one that says, prohibited language says, engaging in developing tech that could be considered similar to the tech developed at big drilling. Similar is where my problem is.
So I think maybe that,
So you think
portion
that's
is-
overly broad?
Yeah, I
Poorly
would like,
worded.
maybe we can word these maybe differently.
yeah,
So that my ability to get jobs isn't hindered, because that word similar. I'm keeping my mouth shut about what's happened, so I'm just wanting that I can feel like once we leave here, I can move on, I'm not angry, I can go into my new field. And maybe I do come back to to drilling stuff, maybe not, but it wouldn't be for another, like we said, 8 years, right? We agreed to 8.
Yeah,
And we're
we
staying
did
on-
agree to 8 for the subs for 1 year.
Yep.
You're not gonna be able to currently,
Yep.
you're not gonna be able to work for any drilling competitors anywhere. And then for the subsequent 7, you're gonna be restricted to, not working for any of their competitors in the southern United States.
Okay, yeah,
So-
and then can we remove the language that says engage in development that could be considered similar?
What would we
So-
replace it with? Maybe,
Yeah.
would you want it to say like related to the drilling industry or something like that?
I think we can just put it as, if it's acceptable, we can put it as any products that, will be used, engineering, building,
directly- yeah.
any engineering, doing any engineering work or the creation of any engineering products that will be used in
To
the
forward,
process
yeah.
of
Uh,
oil drilling.
Yeah,
In the oil drilling process. So what we, again, with this non-compete, maybe that portion of it was poorly worded, but what we wanted to get out of the similar fields portion of it is we didn't want you to, go to another company that manufactures drills and use the technology that you just learned from our company.
Yeah.
Again, this ties in with the confidentiality agreement that we're seeking. So we didn't want you to be able to go and use either similar knowledge that you picked up from us or similar procedures that we used in that would essentially lead to our competitors gaining knowledge of how we do business or giving up some sort of our competitive advantage with this drill that we have.
Okay.
yeah, I.
Okay, so that works for you for the non-compete?
Yeah,
Okay, so with the non-compete, where we're currently at.
Yeah.
1 year, for 1 year, you're not gonna be able to do any engineering work which will be used in the process of oil drilling anywhere in the United States. So like engineering work that will lead to stuff ultimately.
Yeah.
Okay, and for the 7 years thereafter, that will go down to just no competitors to big drilling in the southern United States. Okay.
Yep.
Now that's gonna be accompanied by a $15,000 damages / severance payment agreement. And contingent to that agreement is confidentiality of really all aspects of this, of the drilling information itself, of these negotiations, of the settlement.
Mhm.
And that includes with your former co-employees and such.
So I'm not gonna be able to speak to my employee or my ex-employees who are my friends. I can't speak
Coworkers.
to my coworkers. I can't speak with my family about it.
Not about this, no. You're not, that's not saying you won't be able to speak to your former coworkers, but not about this. That is, contingent within the confidentiality aspect of the agreement.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Yeah, that does. What about an apology?
Okay, so.
Can we work
now-
that, how they can,
So now we'll get to the details
Yeah.
of how, we've agreed that there will be maybe some kind of apology of
Yeah.
sorts, but how is that gonna take form and shape?
Yeah.
When,
Yeah, we're not willing to publicly apologize, but we are willing to work something out with Harry.
okay, do you have any specific terms of how you would like it to take shape? Or Harry, do you have, what do you have in mind for what you were seeking from an apology?
would they be willing to send a email, would they be willing to send out an email apology? Saying that I was not fired, but we mutually walked away. That be one way to word it? I just don't want it to, since I can't speak about it, I don't want to feel like I got fired. I don't believe I should get fired. I believe if we went to, my lawyer said that if we went to trial, that we might be able to prove this, but, I'm just looking for an apology. That feels adequate.
So you don't want to be, you don't want it to be known that you were fired. So
Yeah,
I think in place of
It
an
was
apology,
mutual.
we could just, we could do something like that. We could say it was a mutual thing where we decided we could make a public, I don't know, note or
Harry, would
something
you be
about.
willing to maybe
We are mutually-
put out a statement that it was your affirmative decision to leave, not their decision to fire you?
And we would put out a statement saying that it was your decision to leave, and then, in going along with that, we could still, carry your salary along as a form of severance until the $15,000 is hit.
That would potentially, on paper at least, the split between you and Big Drilling seems amicable. It's not gonna send any messages to anybody else of how what you are potentially, that you're a difficult employee or anything. It's gonna look like an amicable.
and
kind of
that's really,
arrangement.
yeah, that's really, what I want. I'm just afraid of the optics, you know what I mean, of people looking in and seeing that. And not being able to say anything or explain it, you know what I mean, so that, yes, I do. I could see myself agreeing to that.
We have no issues with that. We could put out a statement on our website and, via email to you that, this is a amicable.
Or what about
mutual
instead of on the
split.
website, what about, for the company?
Yeah, on our company
Yeah.
social media
Yeah.
account or something,
Yeah.
we can put,
Yeah.
we've split with, one of our engineers.
Yeah.
We're just moving on to, potentially a different field.
Yep.
Wish them the best of luck.
Okay, so I like that.
So you're agreeing to issue a statement that it has been a mutual decision to part ways, which,
Yeah, we'll do that.
in
and,
lieu of an apology.
Yeah, we'll put it on our company social media account, so all of our employees will see it, and anyone who, any future company who
Yep.
potentially may hire you
Yes.
wouldn't, there will be no issues with
Yep.
that.
Now, you are still aware that when your former coworkers do see this, and they maybe try and reach out to you to ask about what happened, that you are still under no circumstances allowed to divulge any of this information to them. You're gonna have to say it's confidential, it's part of the severance agreement, whatever it is, but you're not gonna be able to divulge any of this information, and a statement like this will likely garner questions from people.
Yeah.
We have no problems too with you, saying like, you wanted to get another job.
Yeah.
Because that's essentially the statement we're putting out there publicly.
I think that's, yeah, I
That's,
like,
that's what you have to
Yeah.
tell.
okay, yes, I agree to that, that I will not speak about it then, but.
Okay, all right, so let's
Great.
go over the
Yeah.
agreement again. For 1 year, you're not gonna do any engineering work that will ultimately be used in the process of oil drilling anywhere.
Yep.
For 7 years thereafter, you will not work for any of the big drilling's competitors in the southern United
Yep.
States. They're going to pay, Big Drilling is gonna pay you $15,000 in a damages / severance agreement. The whole thing is confidential, and Big Drilling will also put out a statement that it has been a mutual decision to part ways as you are looking for other employment opportunities.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
I like
Sounds
that.
good.
All
Yep.
right, perfect.
Awesome,
Thank you.
Glad you guys chose to meet
Yeah.
today, and I'm glad you're able to come to
Thank
a resolution.
Thank you.